Hi, I'm Leonard and I'm making this video for two reasons. Firstly, I want to start making art videos, so I just wanted to make something short to find a good setup and to check if everything was working. And secondly, a friend asked me about something that I find very difficult to explain by text without blowing up the Discord character limit. Is for a story he's working on or something, and well, I just decided to mix the two things together. So yeah, the next few minutes will be me rambling about my life with a drawing in the background. It all started when I was a little kid, and I'll tell you, sometimes I was not the princess people expected me to be. I have always been a big dinosaur nerd, and I hated those, and they still freak me out to this day. I can swear they are hiding something. They are creepy, okay? Well, I used it to build cool stuff with rocks, clay, wood scraps, whatever, and most of these things were like architecture to my dinosaur toys that I was and I still am obsessed with. By the way, I still have them displayed on a shelf and I care for them dearly. I was always climbing and running around and breaking stuff and just being a brat in general. Until this raised me a question. One day I went up to my grandma and asked her, "Am I a boy or am I a girl?" And she answered, "Of course you are a girl." And I said, "Well, it's because I do stuff people say are boy things." And then she just answered something like, "Well, these things don't matter, you're just thinking too hard about it." That was a good enough answer for a baby lion, so I just forgot about it and went on with my life. When I was around 12, with influences from church and society in general, I, for some reason, really started caring about what people expected of me. I don't remember much from that time because of trauma, but a very vivid memory I have is from when I was creating my account in Amino for the first time. When choosing a username, I made the interesting choice of a Shinx. The thing is, in my native language, and only language I spoke at the time, is Portuguese, and Portuguese is a heavily gendered language. The A indicates the subject. Subject is female. That's also used for objects, but don't even ask me. It doesn't make any sense. Well, I remember I would get very irritated when people used male pronouns on me. At the point I put female in all caps on my username. I think I heard "you must behave like a lady" so many times that I got obsessed with being seen as one. Around 2 years later, some stuff started happening at school. I met a bisexual friend, which I eventually had a crush on her, and I discovered myself bisexual, which took me way too long to admit. And when I went to the high school, I had to go to a school where I didn't know anyone. My first friend group there was a bunch of girls that I ended up leaving after I realized they were using me and treating me like shit. So I stayed alone for a couple days, but soon after that, a group of boys saw me alone and kind of adopted me into the group. They treated me like any other boy, and that was honestly really cool and helped me loosen up and not think so anxious about the way people see me. And I still miss them a lot. Years later, my grandma passed away. She had raised me like a mother and made me who I was. When she passed, I felt completely empty, as if my reset button was hit. As if most of me had died with her. I quit church, I got connections with a lot of people, and was just sitting there like a husk for a couple of years until I met some new friends and my now partner. They helped me rebuild myself with a very important detail. They made me feel truly loved. loved exactly the way I was, and they didn't expect anything more from me, which made me realize Grandma was right. These things don't matter. After finally not hating myself anymore and being happy with who I was, I then started to think why things are the way they are. I realize humans have a habit of trying to put everything in boxes. Being that possible or not? People are like colors. We might have names like green and blue, but between those two solid, common knowledge categories, there's infinity, an indefinite number of colors. Between them, beyond them, even colors we can't even see. It's our gradient that can be defined with a consensus. It's relative. It also reminds me of biology. Our forest is alive. Depends on what you consider life. Like, are dinosaurs extinct? Depends on what you consider a dinosaur. All biology questions can be answered with that depends, because we classify things with solid, unchanging categories, when nature doesn't really work like that, and there is no line between one thing and the other. All this is to say, I realize people have a habit of trying to force things that can't be categorized into boxes. Be it gender, star sign, or personality based on BuzzFeed. People want categories. I thought, 7 billion people in the world, how come all of them fit into two definitive categories that are decided by what they have between their legs? Isn't it kinda messed up for a person's personality, emotions, observations, studies, career, and family life be all decided by their genitals? I realized that humans make a butter of mixed things. Some colors they were born with, some were acquired throughout their life, and no matter how hard you try to put the blue and the green in separate boxes, they are all mixed and blurred, making all sorts of colors. I finally realized gender is a construction of society. Wow, what a shocker, right? That was the day I finally accepted that I'm perfect the way I am, and I don't need to fit in any boxes. I'm fine just being me. So yeah, I started considering calling myself an non-binary. But if you ask me, are you a boy or a girl? I answer, I'm tired. I just want to sleep.